I have to admit, I was so overwhelmed with so many online, virtual, everything that at a certain point I just said, it's too much. I see, you can see I have this beautiful temple, you know, and I live in the forest on 5 acres in a beautiful place. And I just said, you know, I'm going inside. I mean, it's so beautiful what people are doing, that we can do this is a real gift. And it's very nice to connect with you down under.
Okay.
Maniko, I must say, I have to say that I became sannyasi in 1996.
Nice.
But the first tape, cassette tape that I buy in this time was Standing Naked.
Oh.
And I hear this album since today.
Yeah, it's timeless. You know, it's timeless. I remember that morning when I woke up the day that he left his body. I was in Boulder, Colorado, and I woke up very early, completely silent. I was so silent. And I was like, wow. And I just got up and I stayed in this silence. And then I got a call that he had left his body. And that afternoon, I sat down and wrote Samasati. I just sat there, you know, I just sat there and I listened to all that had transpired with my beloved master. And it literally came out in one fell swoop, you know. I haven't played it for a long time, though, I have to tell you.
Well, the first question we asked in our interview with sannyasis is, how did Osho come into your life? How did he?
Well, it's not unusual. I was at a very crisis-like crossroads in my life. I was in a relationship that was dying. I had a young son, and I was having really, really intense experiences of leaving my body and all sorts of, I was living also in nature, and I was very young. I was only 18 or 19.
Wow.
And there was one morning when I was leaving my body, I couldn't get back. This is a very esoteric. And I had my baby by the side. I could see my body, but I felt like I was in the universe, like all time space had collapsed. And I got and there was this intense vibration, really intense vibration in my experience, and I couldn't get back. I had no idea what was happening, and I was concerned that I was just getting possessed by something. And I was terrified. I got to the point where I said, okay, you can kill yourself. And I realized in that moment, if I go in this state. There was no exit. So I literally said, okay, take me. And that moment was so profound. It was like lightning shot me back into my body. My heart exploded. I wept. And there was no fear in my system. None. It was gone. And in that moment, I just stood up, and the next day I told my partner, I said, I'm taking my son and we're going to Hawaii. And I just knew I needed to change. That's all I knew. So I took my guitar, my baby, he was only like 6 months old. I went to Hawaii, and I was sitting in front of a natural food store, drinking carrot juice and playing some music, and some friends and some people came by and we just started playing together. Turned out those people were sannyasins. They asked me if I had a place to stay. I said no, and they brought me to their land. And it was a whole bunch of different people on acreage, and I had this little lean-to, and they gave me this beautiful place to stay. And on the pillow was a book, Only One Sky. And when I read it, I couldn't stop crying. It was like the recognition that this is not a book. This is unbelievable poetry. And for the first time, I felt I wasn't crazy. There's an entire universe of people who vibrate at a certain level. And this was like incredible. Everything just exploded inside. And I felt like, wow. I didn't understand the master-disciple relationship at the time. This was 76, 77. So it was, and then I went back to the States. I was living in Santa Cruz, and I met some sannyasins on the street, and I started doing meditations, and I was a little bit allergic to, being born in California where everybody was a something and there was all this stuff, and it all felt like, ugh. But after a time, I just resonated so intimately with him. And then when I realized that my taking sannyas really had nothing to do with anybody else, I took sannyas. And I even had the feeling at the time that this was a choice I was making. It would be the last real choice I ever make. And it didn't even have anything to do with the master. Ultimately, it was my devotion to transformation and awakening, and dying in the old way and entering the world of consciousness and love and beauty and singing and dancing. And I haven't stopped since. Really, it's amazing when I look at it from that point to now. All I've done is found ways to redesign to fit the moment that I'm living in. And that's the story. I mean, I guess that was, so 77 to now. And as we speak, it feels like there's no time involved in this.
Yes. We feel so too.
Yeah.
We feel it so too. What's the meaning of your name?
Diamond. Love Diamond.
Love Diamond. Wow.
Yeah.
You are a diamond.
Took me a while. When I first got the name, I've always been a kind of simple in terms of, I'm not one of the how some people are really beautiful with adorning themselves, and I'm a wash and wear kind of girl, get me as close to the earth as you can get me. So when I got this name Diamond, I was like, I don't even like diamonds. But and then I started to understand this symbolism, and reviewing my life, the amount of pressurization that I have experienced in my journey. I started to understand that indestructible purity, that jeweled consciousness. And in a certain way, that's exactly how I came to him. I got to a point where everything was taken from me and I let go. And what happened was just, and over time, even at the ranch, these things started happening. And I realized, because it was such a phenomenon, I just couldn't explain it, and nobody could explain it. And I had friends that were psychiatrists and alternative, seers, I realized actually at the ranch that it was my beloved master visiting me, saying, hello, 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 here's where you need to look. Because yeah, look at it. I mean, you can see it, you know, hello.
And did you wrote did you compose the songs, or all your songs, or
Yeah.
how was it, the process? How
Yeah.
was the inspiration in that time?
Oh,
Can you,
just
it's a curious. I'm very curious for this.
yeah, you know, song and singing became, even before sannyas, that was my place to commune. I would go, I didn't sing around people until sannyas. And there's a really beautiful story around that, how that nut got cracked. Because it was so pure and so beautiful, and I was so free, and I was not interested in people having opinions or entertaining or anything, but I would go and sit, you know, somewhere under a tree and just sing and sing and sing. And I could literally feel how, as everything started to open, I could travel anywhere in the universe, and wherever I turned my attention, I was there. It didn't matter, time, space didn't matter. It was just absolutely, completely pure and free. And with sannyas, you know, I sang initially with a few people, and then they would start to, in gatherings, they would say, Maniko, go get your guitar. And I'd say, ah. And then Yoga Tao, she was a very, one of the first Western sannyasins. She turned to me and she said, you are so selfish. And I was like, whoa. And then I realized, I mean, it just cracked the whole ego structure in one fell swoop, you know? And I realized it's true. You know, making it about, like, it was making it about me by not sharing, by withholding and keeping it somewhere safe. It was keeping a huge separation between what is natural to me and what I love and the people around me. And so ever since then, I just started singing. And when songs, you know, songs are, they just decide they need to come. And really, you know, like when I was younger, there was a need. I mean, it was like my refuge. I would just go. And I would start playing and just toning. Usually for me, it would be a feeling would start to arise or pulsate. And then I would grab my guitar and I would find the feeling structure in the music. And then I would just let the melody emerge. And in that melody came the points of contact, the imagery, and then I would take the time to kind of take dictation on what that was. And the next thing you know, it was a song. And I kind of do the same thing with people now. I haven't really written a lot of songs recently, but I mean, I've written a lot with people in a collaborative thing, which is a really beautiful experience. And it's amazing to watch them emerge. But they're being created in the same way that songs are created, that they go inside, they find what is true and essential to who they are in this moment. Then we take that poetry and together we make song.
Wow.
Yeah.
I myself, I have a great collection of Osho's music. Let's call like that, yeah. And your songs, many of them are in my collection, and I feel just brings me right there to this atmosphere of Osho whenever I hear these songs, you know. And your songs especially is like an anthem of whatever, let the way of the heart and all.
Yeah, it's just a very passionate girl. I didn't actually write that song, but I did kind of adapt it for us.
Mhm.
But you know, one of the things that happened, and that's in one of the darshans in at the ranch. And it was a time, actually it was during Way of the Heart, and it was a crazy time, you know. Sheila and her gang were doing crazy things, but he came out and he was just blasting. And I just let myself be possessed. I just let go. And I could feel him working me, you know. And in that moment, it was one of those transmissions where I recognized that I'm an instrument, and that's all. And I'm totally happy to do that.
There is one song especially. I've got a copy from Tatagat, Brazilian Tatagat. Remember him, the
Yeah,
percussion?
yeah,
He was my friend, and he gave me a copy of those
yeah,
songs. Yeah, and one that I love very much is called "Alive." It's
yeah.
written your name just behind the
Yeah,
title. Is it your
this
song?
life our celebration
Yes.
of the joy we've come to know. My love for you, Osho, is overflowing. Alive, 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 alive. Yeah. Yeah, these are ones.
Well,
Eva.
I haven't played it for a long time, you know. It's kind of nice some of these songs, you know, they really are so much the heart and soul of sannyas and connection with the master. And one of the reasons I don't sing them that much is because, God, you know, I mean, they're so rich, and unless you were there, it's almost impossible to. As sannyasins, we kind of dissolve into that state right away. And even though my world is incredibly rich, and people who have been doing the retreats and the meditations, they sink into a really remarkable place. But there is that joy of togetherness with the master that is just we're so blessed, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Did you live in ranch?
Yes, I was in Pune 1, the ranch, and Pune 2.
Uh,
With India, though, I always came and went for, you know, 2 to 4 months back and forth. It was just wasn't a, you know, I loved India, but it wasn't a good fit for me. It was too noisy, is the truth. I have very sensitive ears. The noise, I could deal with all the other pollution, but the noise pollution was, except when I was in the ashram. And then when I went inside, I basically stayed there. You know, that's what I was there for completely.
you mean noisy India?
Yeah, those Tata trucks were, oh, it was like, blah. Oh yeah, the sounds in the God, you know, I would walk through the gate in Pune and my whole being would shift in an instant from just doing to suddenly my belly would open, my whole system would relax. And they're very, very special. Even when I listen to discourses now and I hear the bird song, I just go, oh God.
uh, how was it? You said you went to Pune one. It started just after you got sannyas. You got sannyas there with Osho. How was it?
Yeah, I didn't go until I think September of 79, 78 or 79. I took sannyas through the mail. And then, you know, India felt like an impossibility. How do I go to India? It was just, and then lo and behold, things started happening, and you know how it goes. And then I went, and it was beautiful. He had, it was just gorgeous. It was much smaller than in those days. And just the whole spirit, everyone was so beautiful. I would just sit at the fountain and watch people go by, and I was like, my God, this is so beautiful. And you know, I did a few groups, and then I worked, and mostly I was just there to listen to my master and look at and just be in the field of his hammering on the rock, you know.
And how was your experience also in the ranch time with all the craziness going on? How was it for
Yeah,
you?
well, um, it was fabulous, to make a long story short, and it was incredibly challenging. Um, First of all, living with 5,000 people who all are totally committed, all remarkable, intelligent people from all over the world, is in itself probably the finest education a human being can have. It's just incredibly rich. And you know, when the word came that all the energy goes into the work, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. I was totally on board with, you know, creating an oasis in the desert. And so, but after, you know, the message was 2 years, everything in the work. And then after 2 years, it got more and it got more and it got more. And everybody at that time was kind of going, what is really going on here? And, you know, the politics was, you know, as long as he was there, I was clear I was going to stay, you know, no matter what. I mean, he promised an experiment. I was on board completely. And as the politics and the weirdness started going, I just kept stepping back, and they were happy to have me step back because I was not easy to manipulate and I had no ambition. I knew what I was there for.
Mhm.
So, you know, toward the end, I was just driving night taxi because they wanted me out. And it was beautiful because just the spirit of the place was so accessible. And it was very rich. And even when Sheila and the gang left and everything got really crazy and chaotic, I just got quiet and grounded. And I looked around, because I had some friends that were leaving before then, just said, this is not. And I said, it's still the most remarkable thing that's ever happened on planet Earth. I'm staying because I want the whole experiment. And I did. And it got crazier and crazier. And then when he left, I would never forget that day. It was snowing, and you could see, you know, he left before that. And I knew when he left because the feds were coming in. They were coming in. There would have been bloodshed. And, you know, I knew that there's no way that can happen. That's not who we are. That's not what it's about. And they'll never understand. So he left. And just, even as I speak, I just feel so much love and gratitude and sorrow all together, because it was such an elegant thing to do, you know. And I watched it all disappear. I stayed until I think the following year, when the weather was good enough to go, and it was clear it was done. So I went through the, you know, the rise and fall and all that you would feel about all of that, and the disintegration process. And then when I went into the world, I was like, what's this? I just decided the world was my new commune. You know, and as it was very rough, the re-entry, because everybody was floundering, and, you know, everybody had a different attitude. Some people felt betrayed, you know, some people were clinging, they couldn't wait they were going to follow him, you know, people were finding other masters who were calling it a cult and blah, 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 blah. It's the mind, you know, and I just kept on keeping on, you know. It's like I stay so close to nature and silence and just the way of the heart that it was all an experiment in learning what this human condition is all about, and where I get hooked and where I can let go. And it's not different now. But it was heartbreaking, you know. It took me a long time to even acknowledge how much loss there was in losing that vision and that possibility in the commune and the community. And it is a huge thing to create and then to lose. But as time went on, I recognized, you know, when you see the madness that's going on in Brazil and what happened in the States, it's like we got a preview. You know, we went through the whole drama of the human condition in 4 years. We created it, we celebrated it, we destroyed it. For all the same reasons that all this stuff goes on. It goes on and on and on. At some point, you just step out and step in and be in the flow of what is true in this beautiful existence. So, you know, all I can say is it's fabulous that it happened. And I would go back in a heartbeat. If it ever occurred again, I'd say, okay, let's try again. Except, you know, now we can say, who's going to be the Trump this time?
Yes.
We were so innocent. I mean, we were so innocent. We were listening to the master, and all this other stuff was going on. And most of us weren't even paying attention to other people's interpretation of what's going on, you know? So we're all like, what happened? And when I saw people who I loved, you know, grabbing things and being angry, and I was just like, whoa. And I was someone that gave everything. I gave my house, my business, my property. I walked away with nothing. And I think they were giving us like $200 or something to re-enter the world, you know. And I was like,
wow.
I know.
Wow.
But that wasn't the point. The point was to give everything. And you know, when you give everything and you're not looking for something in return, you're always at peace. At least that's my experience. And if existence turns on a dime, it's like, okay.
Okay. Wow. And how was your work in Puna 2? And how was the process to get in Puna 2, to come back when Osho returns?
Well, when I started working at Chidvillis, which was distributing the books in Boulder, Colorado, in around 87. So I was with his discourses every single day. And I was going to bookseller fairs, like the big publishing houses. And so I was very meeting, you know, the world with with his publications and what he stands for. And it was really powerful. And I was, at the time, I realized, you know, I had a kind of a mission. I wasn't going to let the world just usurp, you know, the media was this and that and this and that. It was really, I found it was very powerful to stand in the middle of New York City at the publishing houses and represent truth, not media spin, you know. And the funniest thing is that the same thing started, the world was still receptive to him. We were selling books all over the country, and we managed to do the impossibles and sell 5,000 items, you know, in various forms. But the trouble then came from Pune and the people there. You know, they didn't like that Chidvilis was standing on its own, which was the direction that we were given by him. It's like, no need to destroy it, you know, if it can stand on its own, that's good. But then all the little politicians did their thing, and eventually, you know, they made it so difficult to get books and to distribute it that we had to fold. And I went back and forth during that time when he was in his body a couple times, and then, oh man, that was so gorgeous. Going back when he was like in the 80s, late 80s. Oh, it was so beautiful. And singing for satsang and in the night darshans and the blackouts. And oh, it was so rich and so beautiful. And then, you know, after he left his body, I went back a couple times, but I could feel the turn in the structure and how it was going to go. And I am basically, you know, I mean, I'm a kind of a combination of a Sufi divine madness and Zen, you know, practitioner and the whole spectrum. And as it got more and more controlled and less welcoming to those of us that are ecstatic by nature, I could just feel that, you know, it's good it happens this way. It's like to stay in the womb too long is going to kill everybody. So that was it. And I felt no loss at all. After he left his body, I just felt closer to him, feel closer to him. And it's quiet. Is no drama. I mean, the dramas are, you know, the truth is at the center of it all, there wasn't a single drama. It was as silent as the most exquisite night sky with light shows everywhere. I mean, that's the reality. Everything else is just shit that people make up.
You know, as you speak, I get a sense of timeless.
Yeah.
Because we always talk about time when people start there, back there to the 70s, 80s. With you, I have a different sense. It's like we go back and forth all the time, and it's always coming to now.
Now.
Yes. Could you tell us about
one of the beautiful things about working with his publications? I mean, I listened to everything. I combed through every English discourse.
Wow.
And so for me, there has never been contradiction. There has always been paradox. You know, it's like the way he would move and sculpt and change. And it was so beautiful, but the center was always the same, never changing. And, you know, one of the last things that he gifted us with is always speak of me in the present, because it's the only place that is truly alive. That's where the connection is. The present is the only place where love exists, where meditation exists, where connection exists. It's the only one sky.
Mm.
And there's only one sky to fly.
Yeah. And has become my practice. And having, the blessing of being with the master while he was in the body is that the power of the love connection is so transformative that there is such a deep knowing that the only place that I can participate wholly and completely in life is in the present moment, and I trust it absolutely. So whatever crazy the mind wants to generate, I know that the only resolution is to return to this moment. There is no other resolution. You just drop it all and get present. Layer upon layer,
Maniko, tell us about your work with the retreats. How is it? Would you come to Brazil for one?
Ah,
Later on,
please.
of course.
I would love to.
After the
Please.
pandemic.
Yes. Well, I do various things. My favorite are the deeper, longer ones, especially we just finished a summer retreat. And it's, I work from a place of first generating an energy field that is so alive and so present. And then I trust people to step forward with the truth of who they are. And I'm very good at creating playful environments where when the ego fixations get all engaged, that we can have fun with them rather than try and resolve them. And then once we have fun with them, they drop completely, So like I was saying earlier, I do voice and self-expression from a transformational point of view, because the human voice is the most intimate way to reach into existence. When you start to resonate genuinely and authentically, the entire existence starts to vibrate with you. And it's very powerful and very beautiful and very intimate. And it's also the way we share. Like, even though you're in Brazil, we have our voices. And then when the voice is connected, empty the mind, connect it to the heart, the soul, the belly, the being. It's the most creative instrument we have as human beings. And it's like it always takes us to, and it's also the most powerful instrument to become integrated. Because you've probably seen for yourself, you can have many, many insights, but until you actually share and express them, they can be fleeting. But the minute you actually write a poem or a little essay or make a journal or tell a friend, it starts to stabilize. And that's where the real transformational power is. And, I've worked the territory since I was a child. So, I work both with people being able to get their voice to start to flow, to be stable, to be resonant, to be true. And that's quite a process because there's a lot of trauma there for almost everybody, where, we've been told we have to be something, and the way we dealt with being shut down, if you don't say it right, if you don't do this, if dad's going to get upset, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot. And it is traumatizing to the system. So people either shape their voice according to what is acceptable in the early environments, which is very small and generally, or very entertaining, dramatizing, and they do all this stuff that's not genuine, but it's how they learn to survive, and it worked until it doesn't work. And
Mhm.
so, you know, I work with individuals in groups and in one-on-one to help start to connect their sound and their voice and their self-expression to what's really true and alive and most valuable in who they are. So it becomes a kind of a return to the innate sense of worthiness. And that opens up everything, you know. But and that all kind of has culminated in different, you know, shapes like day-longs, and where we dance, we sing, we do vocal exercises, we meditate, we play, you know, we do all sorts of fun things to kind of confront our habituated, you know, there's the entertainer, there's the director, there's the dramatist, there's the I don't know anything, there's, you know, we've got all these personality qualities, and rather than make a problem out of them, we just play with them. And once that happens, then people start, you know, then of course some people really, it's painful to see how far away we've stood from ourselves for so long. But it's also so much love in the space that then I'll bring in a song that everyone can join in that's very, very healing, and have them write from the experience, so that it opens the channel for their natural self-expression to come forward, not in a fixing or, you know, I mean, the healing happens through the acceptance of it all. And when the environment is so well lit in terms of energy, everyone wants to step forward and give of themselves. It's all about, you know, generating is generosity, is, you know, that's what the voice is all about, and it enriches everybody. And it in itself is healing. Then in the longer retreats, we do the meditation cycles that I developed. You know, I took kind of the best of all the different practices that I've done. So it would be a 3-hour meditation, double meditation cycle of sitting for anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, walking meditation. And we dance for anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour. And then we go back and do it all again, totally in silence. So the body, everything empties, right? Emptying, 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 getting present. The movement is really, you know, I create the field that will start to move emotional energy and get you connected to your juiciness, and also continue to empty out all the tensions. And then after a couple days of that, we do the morning meditation cycles every single morning. And then we start constellations. I do it differently than other people in that I don't set up anything. Nobody knows what they represent. And I trust, you know, meditation is so powerful because it dissolves people so much that whatever comes can only be what's needed. So after we do the constellations, I then have the people who are participating, and they always move to wholeness. They never, ever, ever come to a place of unresolved. You know, maybe once or twice in the 20 years I've done the constellations, have they, where the only resolution was for the person to actually see, this is what you've lived with, this is what you inherited, you know, which became its own resolution because it was like a relief. Then the people write for the person whose constellation is, what they represented, and they don't interpret it. They write exactly what happened. And then maybe at the end, they'll send a little note that say, this was a very powerful experience for me. It gave me this, 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 this. And then the people get that and they go through it. And it's, you know, because have you done constellations?
I did once a session.
Yeah, okay. Well, a lot happens. And there are layers and layers of worlds that happen in there. And I recognized very early that there's no way that that is going to stabilize in the consciousness. I mean, they'll get a few insights, and they'll feel a little better. But there's powerful patterning in there. It's like an internal gestalt that, you know, it can be a lifetime's worth of the same pattern, or just this life, or sometimes just a certain dynamic that's kind of hard to see or appreciate in the space that you're in this phase of your development. And so when they get the writing, there's the world's, you know, everything in their being starts to move toward wholeness and understanding really organically. And then I asked them to all that they read, to like highlight the phrases that have a lot of energy and to put them on another page, and then to refine those and massage those and create some poetry, and then we create song out of it. So it's a beautiful refinement and integrating process. And then it becomes, you know, like it just becomes so beautiful.
Wow.
There's this one woman, and the thing that's so funny about it is a lot of people who it's the first time they've done it, they kind of fight with me. I can't, that can't, blah, blah. And, you know, I just kind of keep dissolving it. Then finally this exquisite beauty comes out of people, and I just go, see? Because you could say I'm a treasure hunter. That's what I am. It's like, I'm not going to get involved in that neurosis. It's not worth it, you know. There's a whole world that loves your neurosis. You didn't come here for that, you know. So there's
beautiful.
This woman was someone that was having a really hard time until the end, and then she totally got it. And out comes this song. Ishkala Mabulela, Ishkala Mabulela, welcome beloved, glory and pain, home, coming home, again and again. Welcome, beloved, layer upon layer, home, coming home. This is my prayer. Ishkala Mabulela, Ishkala Mabulela, Ishkala Mabulela, Ishkala Mabulela. Welcome, beloved, truth sublime, home, coming home to that which is thine. Welcome, beloved, union divine, home, coming home to that which is mine. Mabulela Ishkala Mabulela. You see, so I go for the jewels in everybody.
The Jew come to the Jews.
Yes.
Diamond love come to the Jews.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. And there's so many, hundreds. And these are not singers. These are just human beings. Because the soul is made of music. You know? And that's why I call them Song Silence and Soul Sanctuary. You know, and everyone's on their own individual journey together. And the beautiful thing about working with voice is I absolutely respect each person's individuality. And that individuality makes just a tremendously beautiful garden of all sorts of different kinds of expressions. None of the songs are the same. Everyone is always like blown away. It's like, wow. Because it's just the nature of things. That's the way it is. There is no goal.
Wow.
Just go in.
Yes.
Well, I think we are coming to an end.
Yeah.
No.
The never ending. The never ending. We're coming to the never ending where
Okay.
the virtual, the virtual part
okay.
stops.
We rephrase it. In this never ending, would be too much ask you to sing one of your songs?
Oh, which one? I hope I remember.
We love them all.
Oh, well, since you mentioned the one, let's see, how's it go? This life, our celebration of the joy. I think I, capo. This life, our celebration. Let's see if I can remember it. Of the joy we've come to know. My love for you, Osho, is overflowing. This life, our celebration of the joy we've come to know. My love for you, Osho, is overflowing. Alive, 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 alive. This life, our celebration of the joy we've come to know. My love for you, Osho, is overflowing.
Yes. Thank you very much, beloved.
You're very
Whenever
welcome.
you want to come, whenever you come to Brazil, let us know.
Well, it would have to be the other way around. Whenever you can host me, let me know. And then we can make arrangements, you know, we make arrangements that way. And winter, of course, is good. February for here is summertime for you. So it works beautifully.
Okay, whenever it's possible
and safe.
Deal.
Well, you know, here there's the immunity is getting very, very good. I hope that,
Yes.
I mean, there's all this controversy about vaccinations, but I'm vaccinated and I feel great. And
Me too. Me too.
Me too.
yeah, good. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
you know,
Whenever it's possible.
yes, please.
The invitation is done already. We just see the right time. Okay.
Okay.
Hey.
Thank you, beloved.
Oh,
Thank
it's
you very much.
so lovely to be with you and to meet you and to share with you.
Yes.
I was
yes.
starting to cry
Okay.
when I was singing, so I do it all the time. Though.
Me too.
People in my groups, they say, oh, I can't sing because I'm going to cry. I say, no, just cry and keep singing. Eventually, you get so you can have huge feelings and keep singing.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Very beautiful to hear your story, to feel Osho through you, your Osho that you share, and
Light
no
upon
words.
light, light upon
Silence.
light, love upon love.
Love upon
Love
love,
upon love.
love upon love upon love.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you,
Dr.
my friends.
Thank you.
Yes.